Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on how to secure and automate your file transfers for Linux. If Linux is your operating system of choice, we're going to share some best practices around securing file transfers, along with discussing some of the most common challenges and solutions that Help Systems offers to secure file transfer and automation today. We hope you find the presentation helpful. I am here with my co-host, Heath. Heath, just doing an audio check. Are you there?
I am, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So before we kick things off, I will remind you that the event is scheduled for an hour. If any of you need to leave or drop off at any point, we're recording the event and we'll send out the link afterwards so you have it. You can feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation as we'll have team members online to answer them, and we'll try to answer a few verbally at the end as well if we have time. And last thing, a survey will display at the close of the presentation, and if you can fill that out, it'll give us good feedback on what parts of the presentation were most helpful, and you can also reiterate any questions that weren't answered on the call, and someone will get back to you shortly. With that, I will run through our agenda quick. So we'll do a little introduction. If you're not familiar with Help Systems, we'll tell you really quickly who we are and a little about us. We'll talk through some common file transfer challenges that you may be facing that may be really familiar to you, as well as best practices then to secure those file transfers and automate them. We'll do an overview for our solution, GoAnywhere MFT. You may be familiar, you may not, but we'll walk through some of those features with you. Heath will do a live demo as well so you can see it in action. And then, like I said, if we have time, we will try to have some Q&A at the end. With that, let me introduce you to our presenter. So Heath Kath is a senior solutions consultant at Help Systems working on the GoAnywhere Managed File Transfer product line. And he provides pre-sales support specializing in demos and proof of concepts. Heath, thanks for being here, and I will let you take it from here.
Sounds great. Thanks, Brooke. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Just really quickly here, regarding Help Systems. Help Systems actually started back in 1982, so over 35 years ago. We've actually have now over 750 employees in over 25 different offices worldwide, with over 16,000 customers. The majority of the GoAnywhere team is actually located in Ashland, Nebraska, so just south of Omaha, with our headquarters located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, the Minneapolis area, and that's where I'm located at. Our focus here today is really delivering, the best cybersecurity, the automation, the operations management solutions, really for all organizations of all sizes, including SMB, government, and Fortune 500 companies. We do believe in providing our customers with the best customer service. We offer support via email, phone, and online chat. We actually offer some support around the clock, 24 hours a day if needed, 365 days a year. You'll find that our research and development team is in our Ashland office along with support and the majority of the sales staff. Our development team, have a very active schedule with 2 to 3 major releases a year. Many, if not most of those updates are primarily based on the valuable feedback, from our customer, our user community themselves. And as a testament of our excellent support team, the solutions and the service that we provide, we have almost a 99% customer retention. And with my experiences with working with software and customers for almost 30 years now, I know that an outstanding, solid, and easy to use product along with excellent support and the team and all that is a huge, plays a huge role in this. And we're also a member of the PCI Security Standard Council, which allows us to keep up to date with the latest security requirements and policies and helps ensure that our products do stay compliant. We strive to be the best, and we do truly care what our customers have to say. Infotech Category Report provided a comprehensive evaluation of popular products in the MFT transfer market, so your managed transfer files. But this is just this past April, Infotech Research Group conducted analysis of managed file transfer solutions as reviewed by the users on the softwarereviews.com, and they found that GoAnywhere MFT finished as a leader in the data quadrant here with the highest composite score of 9 out of 10 and the highest net emotional footprint of 92 out of 100, well above some of our other well-known MFT providers out there. Our customers constantly tell us how easy GoAnywhere makes it to simplify and secure their file transfers. We're really excited to see this, see this validated report, this information from the report and all that. And some of the key areas that we score the highest in is the vendor capabilities, product features, quality of features, product strategy and rate of improvement, vendor support, ease of data integration and implementation, and more. So if you really want to find out a little more about information about that, there's a nice report right out here. You can check it out yourself as well. Okay, well, when it comes to your file transfers, ensuring security and compliance while making processes efficient can be a huge challenge. Do any of these here kind of fall into play with you guys? Do they sound familiar? First of all, the human error. It's a big problem. Unfortunately, many companies are still using PC-based tools to transfer files, and since these are often manual processes, it's prone to human error and risk. For instance, what if the user sends the wrong file or forgets to send the file, sends it at the wrong time? This could be an important order or a key financial document, and this delay could affect your relationship with your vendor or customer. What if the user downloads or uploads the wrong file or sends to the wrong trading partner? Maybe they accidentally sent the wrong pricing list with special discounts that were actually intended for another customer. This could be very bad for your business, right? What if it contains sensitive data and the user forgets to encrypt it before the transmission? Another thought, who's going to run those manual transfers when the primary user is gone for the day? For instance, if they're sick or on vacation. These are the risks that many of you may face today with that manual file transfer processes that you have in place. Secondly, a lot of IT departments have a lot of inefficiencies, with their file transfers. They may be using old secure technology like FTP or email to transmit those files. Now, in order to automate file transfers, a lot of companies have built FTP scripts on their systems. However, these scripts have many downfalls, and one big problem with them is that is with your trading partners. If they update their passwords, and so you include this password in those programs, those scripts, and a lot of times those passwords are stored in the clear, which makes it very vulnerable to attacks if hackers, get a hold of them. FTP scripts are written by programmers, and we all know that's a very expensive resource. To write the script properly, the programmer should be able to code or include those scripts to perform auto retries and self-connections, send out error alerts, maybe even write out the good detail auto logs, right? All this here takes more time. Plus, every time something changes, say for the trading partners, such as the new IP address for the server, or maybe even the password, or a file name changes or something like that, a programmer has to go get involved to make those changes in each and every one of those scripts. These are additional costs, and they can really add up over time and distracts your expensive IT resource from other priorities, those other projects. And we have talked to a lot of different organizations that have hundreds or even thousands of these FTP scripts that have really become unmanageable and almost impossible to maintain then over time. The third challenge is this lack of encrypting the data at rest or in motion. Another huge problem really with those file transfers today for a lot of organizations is that they may have an end user that jeopardizes sensitive data by downloading it first from a secure corporate server to a less secured PC or laptop, making that data much more vulnerable to attacks. Maybe for an instance, the user downloaded a ACS file from the server before they use PC tool to send it to a bank. In that instance, the user may forget to remove the file from the PC after they transmitted it. And since PCs and laptops are more vulnerable than backend servers, the file could be attacked by a would-be hacker. Also, email is frequently used to send sensitive data. When a user sends a file as a regular attachment in an email, that attachment is not encrypted by default, which makes it very susceptible to theft. the users. They have their own free file sharing service like Dropbox that they use to send files through without using any kind of controls or audit trails. Uh, this area here has really become a nightmare for IT departments. And without having good internal policies in place for your end users, regarding your file transfers, you really increase the loss or risk of handling the sensitive data through one of these unsecure methods. The fourth challenge is the lack of being informed. No errors or maybe no audit capability. Finally, another big problem with file transfer today is a lot of scripts and PC tools. They just don't have good alerts when a transfer fails. Sometimes you may have to wait for your trading partner to call and alert you that they did not receive the file, and maybe now it's too late. With these legacy tools, there's often no logs of what and where these files are sent. And this has become a real issue, with the auditors, since many organizations cannot tell or prove what sensitive files are leaving the organization. For instance, can you quickly tell what files have left your network on a given date or time, and by what or which user? Because of these vulnerabilities and lack of reporting, the lack of logging that is needed, it's become really difficult to meet the stricter compliance requirements using those traditional tools and processes. What we recommend, first of all, is to move away from that standard FTP and email for sending sensitive files. Instead, use a secure protocol like Secure FTP, AS2, and HTTPS, as they offer really strong authentication and encryption technologies to really fully protect your confidential files. Those files should not only be encrypted when transmitted across the internet and even within your own internal network, they should also be encrypted at rest, whenever possible, especially if you're staging files, within the DMZ, which is the public facing portion of your network. The automation of file transfers will remove the manual processes and the need for vulnerable PC tools. These automated processes should alert you immediately when file transfers fail, instead of having to wait for traditional partners to tell you that, hey, I didn't get the file. And to help meet compliance requirements, you should be able to keep at least a year's worth of audit logs of the file transfers activity. Plus, you should be able to quickly generate reports of those audit logs, maybe filtering by user, a date range, the time range, and file names. And to bring this all together, we really recommend that you look for what's called a managed file transfer product known as MFT. MFT solutions allow organizations to control and to secure their file transfers through a centralized framework. MFT covers all aspects of your file transfers, within your enterprise and with your trading partners. That's going to include batch transfers between systems, as well as any ad hoc file transfers initiated by your end users, either with other users or within your back-end servers. MFT systems provide the automation you need for your file transfers, protecting that data with strong encryption protocols while giving you the audit trails you need for compliance with the stricter regulations. So MFT, really does bring it all together and helps you solve many of those challenges I mentioned earlier. This leads me into GoAnywhere. GoAnywhere MFT is our managed file transfer solution here at Help Systems that we've developed and sell around the world. And we believe it's the best enterprise level MFT solution in the marketplace. This diagram gives you a quick overview of its capabilities of whom we can share files with. GoAnywhere can be installed on most operating systems. You can install it either on-prem or within your own cloud environment, and then you can use it to connect with all your various trading partners, from customers, vendors, internal systems, and so forth. You can also connect to many cloud connectors like Box, Dropbox, Amazon, OneDrive, SharePoint, Google, Jam, Salesforce. The list goes on and on and on. You can use GoAnywhere to initiate file transfers, to send, and to accept files from your trading partners. So it handles both inbound and outbound file transfers through both batch and ad hoc requests that can all be initiated within the product. On this diagram, it gets a little more detailed in the different types of systems that GoAnywhere can communicate with and how. So if you look down below here in the bottom left corner, we got platforms. As I mentioned earlier, GoAnywhere can be installed in many different databases. It's really OS agnostic, from a Windows, IBM, and several others, including Linux. It's really your choice. It's your preferred operating system. As for file services, you can use SFTP, FTPS, HTTPS, etc. for your file transfers. So let's say you have files sitting on a Windows server or a Linux box or an IBM. You can use GoAnywhere to connect up to those systems with whatever protocol and credentials you like within the product. And as long as you're authorized to access those files, you can easily then push and pull those files through the product. We also connect to the cloud services. Amazon is your blob storage, AWS, and also Microsoft Azure, your blob storage. We continue to add custom cloud connectors to GoAnywhere, of which then allow you then to easily integrate and automate, with those popular SOAP and RESTful web service applications. Like I mentioned before, we got Salesforce, Box, Dropbox, Microsoft Dynamics. We have WebDocs. There's a lot of them out there. GoAnywhere also connects up to your backend database systems. You may have information stored in certain database tables. We can connect to your database, your SQL servers, MySQL, DB2, Oracle, PostgreSQL, and so forth, to easily extract the information from your table and then translate that data into various formats. We can write out to an XML, a text file, Excel, JSON, EDI, and other formats. We can build these files and then send them off to your trading partner. Or maybe you need to parse them out and then import those into your database. Now, as part of the overall workflow, GoAnywhere can also call out to your existing applications. Maybe you have some existing scripts or programs on your server of which you need to call. We can call those applications, even passing in parameters, getting results sets back and process them through GoAnywhere's workflow. Last but not least, here on the bottom, you can also install what is called GoAnywhere agents or MFT agents. Agents allow you to connect to remote servers as if it was a local connection. Maybe there's no good way to connect to that remote server. Maybe they are just not able to set up that remote SFTP listener. These agents can make it very simple and efficient to connect to monitor files, and run file transfers between you and your trading partners using GoAnywhere. Jump up here to the top. This left-hand side, we're kind of talking about GoAnywhere as a client, where you're initiating the file transfers, both pushing and pulling from your different servers. GoAnywhere can connect up to all these different systems using whatever protocol, whatever necessary protocols you need to use, secure FTP, FTP, HTTPS, you name it. But then you're going to be able to perform multiple steps, multiple things within these workflows to easily automate and manage your push and pull files from these systems, your different trading partners and customers, to be able to easily encrypt the data or maybe decrypt the files. For instance, we support the OpenPGP encryption that lets you encrypt and decrypt the files that may have encrypted, with that same protocol. It also supports various compression technology. Maybe the trading partner needs you to zip the file with ZIP 2.0 standard. We also support gzip and tar for packaging and unpackaging files. We talked about data translation a little bit already, but we're able to read and write. GoAnywhere allows you to map data columns between different data sources if you need to massage that data before importing it or exporting it properly. Automation is the key. Now you say your workflow is up, one way to automate it is by scheduling the file transfers within our product. This way you can easily run those file transfers or automatically encrypt data on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You can actually incorporate your holiday. We have an option to create your own calendar. Then again, once you have a schedule, it's automated. You don't need the user to kick it off. On AX, using cron jobs. Either way, we have commands and APIs that that come with the product that allow you to make the request to GoAnywhere from your existing schedulers and applications. Plus, you can pass in parameters for additional flexibility. Maybe you need to pass in different file names, connection properties for your trading partners, and so forth. We can accept those into the workflows, run those jobs, and pass the results back to your application. That way you're going to get the centralized managed file transfers, but you are in control. You will be able to drive or initiate those file transfers from your own applications if necessary. The folder monitors is another great way to help automate your transfers. Simply put, we can watch folders on your systems, and this could be a local network or even a remote type source here, but we can watch for folders, watch these folders within the different locations for a file being dropped off or modified since the last time you checked. At that point, if something is found in there, we can turn around, kick off a process to move that file, to encrypt it and zip it, whatever you need to do for your trading partners. All done automatically. Now, on the right side, this is more or less where you have GoAnywhere set up as a server, as a listener. Besides the outbound file transfers I talked about earlier, here you can also accept inbound connections from your trading partners. If they need to connect up to you, let's say via secure FTP or HTTPS, for an instance, to drop off files, or maybe even to pick up a file that you have waiting for them. They can do this on an ad hoc basis, or they can have their own batch process in place where they automatically connect up to your system to do those transmissions. Now, GoAnywhere also supports file syncing and sharing. So you may have users that need to share files between each other, allowing them to easily share files and automatically keep them up to date, keep them in sync with other users and other systems, It's a great way to replace service applications like Dropbox, for instance, or the other cloud sharing, file sharing tools, of which you really don't have that much control over. Where with GoAnywhere, we have all that same functionality, but we're going to keep control of those files. It's going to be fully audited and fully secured. We're going to encrypt the files with AES 256-bit encryption, both at rest and in transit. So it's a great alternative to that cloud, the cloud file sharing. We also have what's called secure forms, where you can have your trading partners fill out these custom forms. Maybe you need to collect data from them, along with attaching some files. That information, that you're asking for could be like an account number, an ID, just their full name, their address, whatever you might need. That information that can turn around, be picked up and passed back to your automation within GoAnywhere, and can process that information. It can validate it and then process the information as needed. We also have secure mail, where you can send out secure links to the files through email notifications. That way you don't have to send a file through as a traditional email attachment, especially if it's a large file or if it's really contains sensitive data. Instead, we can strip that file from the email, send out a secure HTTPS link, and then your recipient can simply click on the link to securely retrieve that file over HTTPS. You can even require a password to it as well. We also have a very good partner management system in the product. You can set up your trading partners to authenticate against Active Directory, LDAP. We have SAML authentication, or you can authenticate against our own database. And for each trading partner, you can indicate what folders they have access to. That can be on various file systems. You can also indicate what IPs that they can log in from, what date and time ranges. So it's all very comprehensive and very securely set up there for you if needed. Now, if a problem does occur, GoAnywhere can send out alerts, one or to many different individuals. As an example, maybe you have troubles connecting to a server, or one of your systems is having issues to connect to another system. First of all, we do have built-in auto retries, so we can try to reconnect up within a certain period of time. But if it still can't connect up after that threshold is exceeded, then it can send out an automatic alert, a text message, or write to a syslog letting you know precisely what the problem is. GoAnywhere can also alert you if an SSL certificate or a PGP key is about to expire. So we can notify you in a day or several days in advance before they become an actual problem. everything is going to be audited within GoAnywhere. We are tracking all the file movement, both inbound and outbound, ad hoc and batch requests, plus we're logging the admins, when they log in and the changes they're making. This information is being logged in a central database, and you'll be able to generate reports as needed. You can quickly see information by user, date range, by file names, and other criteria to let you quickly see what files are being transferred in and out of your organization. This is key information that you can give to your auditors. In fact, you can give audit view only rights to our reporting module, so auditors can log in through our browser interface and only query and view that information themselves. Just a quick rundown here, just a few more slides, and then you'll jump into a live demonstration of GoAnywhere. It's a multi-platform solution. You can install it on an IBM, a Linux, a Windows, even a Mac, Unix, you name it, no problem there. Both batch and ad hoc requests can be handled by the product. All file transfers are being audited. And we have a browser-based interface for administration and monitoring, allowing you to use the browser of your choice, so you don't need to install any desktop client on your system. Now again, we do provide APIs. If you have a remote system that needs to automatically launch transfers from a command line or your own enterprise scheduler, in GoAnywhere, you can install those APIs on your system. We have those for IBM, AIX, Windows, and of course of Linux as well. You can use a web service call to make a request to GoAnywhere, to kick off those jobs. It's that simple. Earlier, I mentioned, that we also allow for inbound connections. GoAnywhere can be set up as a listener, with secure FTP, HTTPS, and AS2. Also, files can be encrypted in motion, and you can also encrypt them at rest using AES 256-bit encryption. For those that work with federal and government or require stronger encryption, we do provide an option to use FIPS 140-2 validated encryption ciphers. So it's going to use the secure and validated ciphers to help protect that data at rest and in motion. Key management. Built into the product, we have our own KMS, a key management system, allowing you to import, export, create, and manage your PGP, your SSH keys, and your certificates. All again, built into the product, all centralized, making it pretty easy. We also have role-based permissions in GoAnywhere, so you can have certain administrators, for certain levels of security. For instance, you can have some administrators, that can set up new jobs, define certain domains within GoAnywhere. You can have selected admins that can only look at audit logs, and as I mentioned earlier, others that can only set up maybe the scheduling of jobs or to the execution of your different workflows. Plus, these admin users can be authenticated against your Active Directory LDAP, and we do support dual factor authentication as well if you need that. Maybe you want to use a token or some sort of key to authenticate in addition to the user profile and password. All right, one last thing here before we dive into a live demonstration. If you are accepting the inbound connections from your trading partners, your customers, and maybe remote employees, you can set up what's called our GoAnywhere Gateway. You can install GoAnywhere Gateway software on a DMZ server, typically on a Windows or Linux box in front of your private network. That will act as a two-way proxy, supporting both forward and reverse. It can also act as a load balancer. When you have connections coming in, users might think they're connecting directly to you, but they're actually being routed through the gateway. Maybe using the secure FTP protocol, connecting up using port 22 on your gateway. The protocols, the port numbers, they're all configurable by you guys, so it's all up to you what you want to use there. The gateway is then going to take the traffic and it's going to proxy it using the proprietary control channel up to GoAnywhere. Now, in this example, we actually have 2 installations of GoAnywhere. And with the installations here, we have a cluster environment. It gives you some additional flexibility. We got system 1 and system 2 here. This is a great demonstration, of really acting as, or something, your environment as a true active, a high availability type of solution. Now it's going to load balance those connections. So if you were to get a second connection coming in, it will then round robin that over to the production system too. And if the gateway is going to be, smart enough here, if one of your systems fails, maybe due to a possible hardware issue as an example, then the gate will just send the transfer sessions, to the other remaining system for you automatically. As I mentioned, it also services as a reverse proxy. The benefit of this is that there's no inbound ports needed, and no files, no security credentials are ever staged within the DMZ server. All this here, we're protecting you guys, we're protecting your environment. All in all, this will help keep those auditors happy, and also, of course, your security teams, again, since no inbound ports are needed for this. And the combination of the two will help you guys, in making it that much easier for you to meet those stricter security policies for HIPAA and Sarbanes and SOX and GDPR. All right. Now it's time to dive into a live demonstration. I want to spend some time here really showing you about the overview of the product and what it can do, kind of walk you through a few different areas of setting up the workflow for you. All right, so what you're looking at right now is GoAnywhere. I'm logged in as administrator. There's actually two types of users. You got the administrators. Those are the users, set up to help administer the product, set up your workflows. And then you got the web users, your client users that may want to come into you guys to drop files off or pick up files, based on their permissions. So right now I'm logged in as an admin, and each of your admins will have their own customized dashboards that they can customize. It's a great way to see what's happening on your system. You can see we have services, the completed jobs, some quick links, and some tips right there at my fingertips. As I scroll down, you will see additional gadgets being displayed. Again, it's up to you guys how you want to customize it, but each admin will have their own little flavor, their own dashboard. They can lay it out how they want to. Again, quick glance to see what's happening. Completed jobs last 30 days. A lot of these gadgets allow you to edit them, so you can display different sets of information, such as this one here. I can change it or display to display like today's information or the last 7 days, etc. So it's all up to you guys how you want to customize that. But again, there's like 26 different gadgets you can add. Very easy to the dashboard. Lay it out how you want to there. Also, you can create additional dashboards based on certain areas. Maybe you want to do something more on the security side of things and kind of watch for all those different blacklisted IP addresses. So you can create a dashboard just for that. And then what's nice here about these dashboards is that these dashboards that you create can also then be shared with other administrators. And in the sense of navigation, you have quick links to help you navigate through the product, or you can also use the bar here right across the top. Either way, it's really easy to navigate to the certain areas. So I'm going to focus here initially on those file transfer. You guys acting or GoAnywhere acting as a client to initiate the file transfers. So we got the admin users. I'm logged in, and really the first place then to start is under resources. This is where you can define those connections, those resources to connect up to your different servers. Servers being, could be a remote customer, remote employee, could be even internal network shares, all that. But again, it's that server definition to connect up to. And on the left, you can see all the different resource types. You got Amazon has 3 buckets. And once I click on that particular bucket type there, you can see all the different resources that have been defined for that type right there. AS2 servers, Azure Blob Storage. So again, you can see them all there really easily. If I jump down, we got HTTPS, IBMI servers, ICAP, mailboxes, so we can even connect up to mailboxes. Network shares, define your network shares of which you want to trade files with. REST servers, and even SOAP. We can define those resources. All these different resources can then eventually be used within your workflows, your automation. And what we're doing here is giving you really just one location to maintain these resources. You may have hundreds or thousands of these workflows, these projects that you eventually build within GoAnywhere. And if that connection changes, as I mentioned earlier, if that connection changes, maybe the IP address changes or the key has to be updated, it's really just one location to update that. You come into here, the resource type, Maybe you have one defined for a certain trading partner or a certain customer. Give it a good name to make sense to you, and you can click on it, you can go into it and update it as necessary. Again, one place to maintain it. When setting these up, they're all very similar. You'll have your basic connection information. As this one here, we have the host IP address, the port number that they're listing on, profile password, and even a key. You can test these connections. Make sure you can get to that front door and it opens up for you. You're looking for that resource is successful. So at this point of time, I know that this resource can connect up. Now, what I recommend doing though is go a bit further with this. Go through and set up some retries, some recovery options. So under the connection tab, I can set up a retry. Here we have it 5 times, waiting 10 seconds in between each. The idea of this here is we're going to reconnect up, and if you're in the middle of transferring a large file, you should be able to pick up where it left off. Define your proxy types, different algorithms that you may need to use from authentication, cipher, and MAC, and so forth. Contacts, this is great. It's all centralized, right? What you're looking at here is information to let you know who to contact if you have a problem connecting to that resource. So this way it's tied to that resource definition. You get the name and phone number, or email, whatever it is, and you can reach out to them if you have a problem with this resource. So a quick recap here is that, again, these resources are your way to connect up to your different servers, to your trading partners, to your customers, etc. Set these up first. Now, at this time, you're really ready to start building that workflow. So that leads me to the second spot up here, and you got projects. On the left side is a great way for help you maintain or to manage these different projects. Create a folder, by a location, a region, a department, by user, you name it. It's up to you guys how you want to do this. I have mine down here. I have it broken down by protocols because of the different demonstrations I do, but it's up to you guys. It's easy to create and add more and more folders and subfolders. And help you get started, we got my FTP protocol folder selected. You can see all the projects that I already created. But for you guys that are getting started, that are new to GoAnywhere, really a great way to start when creating a brand new project is to take advantage of our templates. Even help save time down the road even. We have a lot of different templates out here, pick and choosing what you want to do. Do you want to copy file, database to CSV to FTP, delete files, run commands, FTP, get encrypted Excel to Excel, etc. So it means a lot you can do. Just move files, you name it. So there's a lot of different templates already built for you to help you get started. And a very common thing today is just to do really a secure file transfer. Either you're sending a file or you're getting a file, right? So secure FTP, retrieve a single file or multiple files, you name it, it's not a problem. I'll use one here, send a single file. Grab that template, give it a name. Let's just call it example 1. Of course, you give it a better project name and description, defining really who you're trading files with or what this is for. And it brings you right into design mode. So now you can kind of give a layout of really what's happening. We have 4 panes, 4 windows here to work with. Component library, these are your different actions or different tasks that you can perform within the project. I'll expand it here just a little bit. Here's the outline. These are the steps you can perform. Kind of a read through a top down for most part. And these are the parameters that need to be filled in, along with some system variables or just project variables here on the right hand side that can be utilized within your workflows. To walk through this project really quickly to send a file, we have this task. I want to connect to a server that I want to send a file to. The SFTP server. Again, I started you guys off with the resources. So you define that resource of where you want to trade files with, a server. Those then become a drop-down option for you to select from. So here's that customer ABC we tested earlier, and then to put a file. These source files can be passed to this project in a lot of different ways, hard-coded, through a file list, through variables, you name it. There's a lot of different ways to help automate this process. To keep this one simple right now, let me just go ahead and select a file. And by clicking those 3 dots, you can navigate to your local files, through home and your different directories, or even through a resource. So now we're expanding that power to grab that source file, not just from your local system, but even through a resource that you may have defined earlier, a network share or an SFTP resource. Let me quickly grab a file, got a file selected, and then to transfer this file. I'm doing a put, so I'm going to go to a customer server to transfer them a file. Again, when I click on these three dots, it's going to allow me to navigate, and in fact, it automatically connects up to that server. Now I'm on that server that I need to transfer a file with. Again, this server could be my trading partner. And I'm able to see and drive into the folder and subfolders that I have access to. Select that folder, we're good to go. There's a lot of things you can do to help customize this. Yes, we can encrypt it, we can rename it, you can do a lot of different things out here. And even really simple right here, we can actually add a prefix or suffix to the name, maybe a timestamp or date stamp. We recommend, and this template is great for that, is to add in some error handling. So you can see we have an error module. You know, what happens? What do you want to do if you have a problem connecting up to the server, the transfer fails itself? On this module, this info module here, we're going to perform these acts right within it, these steps here. It says call an error module. In fact, you have actually 4 different options here if something does go wrong. You can abort, continue, call a module, which is probably the most popular one, but you can also set a variable value that could be used, you know, within your next steps here. But here we're gonna call it error module, so it jumps us down to this error module right here. So it's very like a subroutine within an application. And very simply here, but very powerful and very commonly, it's just to send an email. Notify somebody that something went wrong by an email. You have your SMTP server, and then who the email's from and who you want to send it to. Using those system variables I mentioned earlier within the description, the subject line. So we're gonna grab the project name automatically. And in fact, within the message of the email, I'm gonna include the job error, and very easily, I'm gonna attach the job log. So this admin, this person that's going to get this email, can very quickly verify, what project failed and why, and take the right, appropriate actions to take care of it. Even within the design mode, you can validate it. You can do some quick syntax checking. Again, blue line here, you're good, compile just fine. You can even run it, execute it. And here it also ran successfully. Good or bad, either way, you're going to get a link to the job log right within this window. Click on it, and the job log is going to be a top-down read. So very simple to follow through. And this one here, again, we're just doing a very simple transfer, but here we're uploading the file to my customer folder on a different server, and that it was uploaded successfully. And just a note, as you start building these projects, they'll get more complex. I'll show you one a little more advanced here, but you can actually use a debug option to walk through it step by step. Check what's going to happen next. What's your next step? What are the current variable values? If you have variables in there, all that good stuff. Let me create a project this time from scratch. A very common thing is to actually encrypt the data, and it's very easy to encrypt the data. Let's go ahead and say encrypt example. So this time we're gonna go back in the design mode, but it's gonna be a blank sheet. We have the main module. Here, looking at the left-hand side of the components. Again, depending on what you want to do. If you have some cloud connectors installed, we have those options right there for you. Compressing the data, zip, unzip, gzip, etc. So these are the different tasks you can easily add into it. Database, SQL, and query some tables. The data translations, where you can actually read and write, read in some data from one of your tables and turn on, write it out as CSV or Excel or even XML and so forth. Your file system, the local files. Your file transfers, breaking it down by protocol, so secure FTP. You get your puts, rename, deletes, etc. Again, these are very easy to incorporate into your project by drag and drop, double click. And let me jump down really quickly. We're getting close on time. I know I'm going to get through this. Job control, but the encryption right down here. You decrypt, encrypt, sign, verify. If I want to encrypt the data, I can drag and drop or double click. You can see it kind of pop in place here. Oops, let me do it again. I'll just double click. And there we go. We got the PGP encryption task in there. And what's really nice here is that at this point, we're going to select a file. And let me just do it really quickly. Again, you have multiple ways these files can be passed into it. I'll talk a little more about that next. Output directory, where I want to send this encrypted file. Again, that could be a local directory or to my trading partner. So if I want to send my customer, my trading partner, that encrypted file using their public key, I use their public key, now I can send it to them directly. Customer ABC demo, I can go to their server, and again, have access to their server and the folders as needed. Let me grab a folder. And then the key. What we have here built into the product is the KMS, as I mentioned through the PowerPoints earlier. Built in the product, we're able to manage your keys for you. So within the key management system, I already imported the customer's public key, and now I can easily select it. Trading partners, right there he is. Grab it, and we're done. Yes, I would add in some error handling, but this is the main gist of just doing the project here. I can validate it, encrypt it, or execute it. And then to show it to you, here we have the log, and just jumping down to it, this file was sent, encrypted, and you can see the .pgp at the end of it. All done really quickly there. And to show you the KMS really quickly, here's the KMS. You have some key vaults to help you manage your keys with your customers. If I jump over to PGP keys, you can see those keys. We got the key pairs, we got public keys that we've imported, etc. But you have the options right here on top to create those key pairs as needed with different security levels, and also to import your customer's key. Now, in the sense of automation, you have the scheduler, built-in scheduler, allow you to schedule these projects to run as needed. You have options to create your own holiday calendar, and then what to do if you fall on a holiday. You want to skip the job, run it the next day, etc. The other two areas are dealing with the monitors. Monitors allow you to monitor those folders, and those folders could be local, it could be a network share, it could be remote. You can actually monitor your customers, your trading partners folder, just like this example here. I'm actually doing a monitor location of secure FTP. I can select that trading partner's resource, and there's a customer ABC. We got GoAnywhere selected for this example. I'm on that server, and I'm monitoring this folder on that server. And what I'm looking for is a certain event type. Since the last time I checked, are there files that exist in it? Or have there been any files that have been deleted, modified, created or modified, again, since the last time I checked? If so, maybe you want to look for certain files. You can kind of narrow it down. You can use the wildcard. Here we got customer whatever .xls. You could also just do .pdf or any file at all, or use a regular expression. And if that's all good there, you can also define how often you want to check that folder. So you can define the scheduling of it, your time of day you want. If it's want all day long, no problem, or your main hours, how often you want to check that folder for those events to occur. I can check every 10 minutes, every 30 seconds, every hour. It's up to you guys, very customized. And then the day of the week. Now, let's say a file is in there that's picked up, that does exist, or whatever you're looking for. Then you actually call it project to process that file or files. Because again, you're monitoring a folder, and you could have several files dropped off since the last time you checked. And the power behind GoAnywhere is using variables. And in fact, this here, by default, the monitor will actually create a file list type of variable. File list meaning that we can actually support and handle multiple files and pass it to the project. This file's variable name will then be passed to this project to process each of those files. Maybe you need to encrypt them, move them, archive them, whatever. Done, it's that easy. The advanced, we're just checking for locks. We want to make sure you're able to grab that file. And then you can also set up some additional email notifications, notifying you if there's any errors out there, checking within that monitor. Project success or failure, or like an SLA. If no files were found, you expect at least one file there by the end of the day, maybe you should notify somebody. So that's your monitor. It's like a schedule. You are doing a schedule, but you're checking a folder periodically throughout the day for some files being dropped off and so forth. The last one here is really with triggers in the sense of automation. And triggers are based off of an event. Typically for your customers, your users coming to you guys to drop off a file. It's probably the most common thing, so upload a file to you. But again, they're based off of an event. And we have a lot of different events that you can select from to define what you're looking for right here through it, this list here. But upload successful is, again, one of the most common ones. And really quickly, what you can do is when a file is uploaded, let's grab, you can turn around and do multiple things within these triggers. First of all, trigger, you're looking for an event, a certain protocol coming in to do something with you guys, drop off a file, upload is successful. You can define what service protocol you're looking after, you're monitoring. The conditions, if you want to help narrow it down for between different customers, different organizations, and so forth. You have a lot of different options out there. You can help narrow it down for this particular trigger you're setting up. And then the action. What do you want to do if there is a file that's been uploaded from that customer ABC? Move the file. You can easily send an email out, rename the file, run a command, delete, etc. You even call a project within your workflows. So again, there's your trigger. And triggers are, by the way, instantaneously. They're right away, done deal. Whenever something's happened to occur, it kicks it off right away. Now I'm going to shift gears here for the last few minutes here before we get to our Q&A and really talk about GoAnywhere acting as, a server, a listener for your customers to come to you guys. What do you want to do out there? Two areas, we got the users defined, and then you got the services. So you can start up what services you want to or as you need to, from HTTPS, FTP, FTPS, and so forth. What port number they're listening on, some fine details there. And then you have your users, your clients, your customers coming to you. Maybe using FileZilla, using the web portal. It's up to you guys there. But you can really define, what these users can use for the protocol and what they can see and what they can do. Just jumping ahead, we got authentication, how they must log in, how they must be authenticated. You can define and set that up as needed from Active Directory, LDAP, RSA Ready. Same thing for the administrators, by the way. Groups help you group and organize these users, but the features. What protocols can they use or this user can use? You may have several protocols active on this server, but this particular customer, this user can only use HTTPS and secure FTP. And then the modules, what can they access? What can they do when they log in from the different modules within GoAnywhere, such as secure folders or secure mail, etc. And then in the folders tab, this is what they're going to see. They're coming through, logging in. We got the home directory, but then I'm able to create some additional folders and subfolders, allowing them to do, whatever they need to do. And what's really cool here is these folders really is an alias name that they're going to see, a virtual name. You can name it as you need to or whatever makes sense to them. And underneath the covers, for you and I as an administrator, we're only going to see there's certain resources, the path where it's pointing to. In this example, we got the resource, secure FTP. This one here is a local folder. But again, these are unbeknown to the user. They have no idea. And then you define their permissions, listing, upload, overwrite, delete files. Whatever they can do, you define their permissions here. And when they log in, they have a little different port come in or through the, again, FileZilla. When they log in, and the way this is using HTTPS. And this page, you can customize the image and the logo, even the disclaimer as you need to. But when they log in, they will only be able to see what, what you set up for that particular user. Here are those secure folders. Again, all those virtual names I set up, allowing them to drop files off or pick up files, etc. Secure mail, if that's active, to be able to create or request files and secure forms, etc. So again, you have that full control to set them up. At the same time, everything that we're doing in here is being audited and captured under reporting. There's different reports, but there's also audit logs. So the last thing I'll show you is the audit logs, and I'll jump back to my PowerPoint. But within the audit logs, you're able to view that information pretty easily. Right now I'm in administration, so you can see where I've been at as an admin. If I jump down to completed jobs, those workflows, I'm easily able to see that workflow, what's been running out there by whom and all that. Plus, if I wanted to, I can narrow it down, set up some filters by a certain job name, by user, by a certain status, etc. And all this information can be easily exported out. You also have access to writing it out to a syslog underneath your log settings, so you have a lot of customization or a lot of flexibility if needed. All right, let me jump back. Just a few more slides here, and they'll jump into Q&A. Just really quickly talking about the different installation requirements. You can install GoAnywhere on, again, as I mentioned earlier, many different platforms, IBM, Unix, of course, Linux and Windows. We have all these different options for you guys, very flexible. You can install them on one server, easily move it to another one. It's up to you guys there. As for the supporting flavor of Linux, since, of course, that's where we're focusing here today, it's no problem installing it. You can have different flavors such as Red Hat and Census and SUSE and all that. So it's up to you guys where you install it. Not a problem. We'll help support you there. You'll find that GoAnywhere MFT is a very flexible and customized solution, allow you to easily integrate your file transfers that you need to do today. And more and more Linux installations are switching to GoAnywhere MFT, to really help with that automation from managing and logging their file transfers. Following here is just a checklist of some of the different advantages of using GoAnywhere, both as an SFTP client and as a server, on Linux. There's no browser interface. I mean, we have, you don't need that command line stuff there. You can actually have a nice browser interface. You don't need to set up some programming or write your own manual scripts. It is a centralized solution. I mean, even built in the product, we have the capability to transfer your files, audit the files, manage your keys, all centralized. We have that integrated scheduler and monitoring to help you, automate that file transfer for you. The different retries to your servers to continue on with those transfers. You can authenticate your batch transfers using both passwords and keys. I showed you guys the encryption, decryption options there, with the even open PGP standard. And also send email alerts or text messages on failures, or if a certificate or PGP key is about to expire. You can all be notified very easily. And also, just to throw out a few more here, managing easily, it's a lot easier to manage with your different trading partners. You can set them up, use your Active Directories and LDAP, authenticate partners, set granular permissions and disk quotas per folder. Predefine specific IP blacklists and whitelists, and enable auto blacklist IPs from those DOS and brute force attacks. View users session activity in real time. Use that FIPS 140-2 validated AES-256-bit encryption. Audit trails, keeping those inbound ports closed in your private network, and more. So kind of start wrapping things up here a little bit. We do have a free 30-day trial if you like to go ahead and download, install, and give MFT a try. Brooke, I'm probably taking your slide here from you, but it's very quick and very simple to get going. You just got to go to the URL. You can download it. Again, it just takes minutes. I mean, usually less than 10 minutes to get downloaded and install it, and you're up and running. Brooke, you want to add anything else to this?
No, that's perfect. I'll just say if you have any questions and you want to reach out to us directly, our contact information is on